Okay, so my name is Hannah Hamilton, if you don't know me, and these are the nutrition classes that we do with Rural Health Network. And today we are going to discuss fertility and pregnancy. This is definitely kind of my wheelhouse. If you don't know, I do work for a program called WIC, which stands for Women, Infants, and Children. We do a lot of nutrition education for this group of people. So I'm really excited to be here and talk about this today. So first, we're going to talk about fertility and a healthy lifestyle that can support fertility. I want to go over some statistics first, like I usually do. So infertility is a major concern today and recurs in as much as 20 to 30% of the fertile female population. The American Society of Reproductive Medicine describes infertility as the failure to conceive after one or more years of trying with natural fertilization methods. And the World Health Organization, or the WHO, reports about 80 million women worldwide have been affected by infertility, with a prevalence of 50% of all women in developing countries. So this is something that we do see quite a bit. So it is something I really wanted to talk about before we got into the pregnancy nutrition as well. So I wanted to talk about a few lifestyle factors that affect fertility. The ones we're gonna focus on today are the ones there in yellow, and they include stress, excess body weight and obesity, smoking, intense sporting activity, alcohol consumption, and drug addiction and abuse. So all of these things can affect fertility in different ways. Stress is the first one we're going to talk about. And if you watched my other videos, we do mention stress a lot because it is one of the pillars of health. When mental health really is encompassing with the stress. So it is something that can affect a lot of different things in our life. And fertility is another one of those things that it can affect negatively if you don't manage it properly. So research has shown that a stressful life, specifically in hardworking women, may contribute to infertility, since symptoms related to anxiety and depression are described as more frequent in infertile women than fertile women. It has been described that stress management can be helpful and may result in increased conception rates. So we're going to talk a little bit about stress management. So symptoms of stress are presented in many different forms. So it's not just the feeling of stress. You can also see it physically as in tension headaches, back pain, stomach issues is a really big one with stress, and heart palpitations. We also have the emotional side of stress, which includes crying, irritability, and that edginess feeling. What's really can be helpful is when you really try to figure out what your specific triggers are. So we all have different triggers when it comes to stress. And that can be really helpful in managing stress when you know exactly what's causing that stress for you. Dr. Webster of Harvard Medical School had this really great quote that I liked, and he stated, "If you know what pushes your buttons, then avoid it. But there are stresses that we have to accept, so we must change our reactions to them." I thought this was a really great quote because we can't always control what's happening in our life that's causing the stress. So changing our reaction to what is happening can be really beneficial in managing that stress. I want to talk about some other ideas for that stress management. These were 3 proven ways from the Harvard Health on ways to manage that stress. The first one is relaxation techniques that I'm sure you've all heard of. Try to meditate is a really big one that people try to push. And I've actually seen more doctors pushing this lately too, which is great. Guided imagery, so closing your eyes and envisioning a place that you feel calm or a situation that you feel calm in can really help. Yoga and deep breathing exercises. If you haven't tried that, it's really great as well. I really like doing this at night before bed. It really helps set that mood as well and can help you sleep better too. These can all trigger a physiological change that can help decrease your blood pressure. It can help decrease heart rate and even manage those stress hormones like cortisol. There also is something called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT therapy, which is based on the idea that changing unhealthy thinking can alter your emotions. Having a trained CBT therapist can assist you to help identify the negative thoughts and learn how to replace those with healthier, more positive thoughts. I've seen this therapy work wonders before. It really is helpful. And with the pandemic and the increase in the telehealth that we see going on, there's a lot of great options to see a therapist, even through your phone or through Zoom on the computer. So I feel like we have a lot of more, we can really get some other services now and a lot more things online. So a lot of people can try to, do a little bit more when it comes to something like seeing a therapist. Another tool that they discuss is goal setting, which you've probably heard me discuss before if you watched my previous lectures, but this can be used not only for nutrition, but also in your career, in your relationships, in creativity and play. So setting goals can really provide a sense of commitment. It can help you feel in control when what is going on in your life. So again, trying to set these goals not only in nutrition, but in other areas as well. That work-life balance is more important than ever these days and really important for our mental health. So these are 3 really good ideas. If you haven't thought about some ways to manage your stress, I would recommend trying one of these and see how it works for you. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about with infertility is excess body weight and obesity. Food plays a really important role in reproductive performance. And if you are severely under or overweight, this can lead to alterations of the ovarian function, which can subsequently increase the chances of that infertility. It's been shown that a higher BMI, which is body mass index, is associated with a higher risk of pregnancy, associated with a higher risk pregnancy, which includes gestational diabetes, hypertension or high blood pressure, and premature death of the infant. Okay, they did a big study, the Nurses Health 2 study, which they have data on almost 120,000 females. And they found that women who had the highest incidence of infertility also consumed the highest amount of nutrient-poor foods. So they didn't have great diets, which can also lead to excess body weight or obesity, or the opposite, which is that underweight, not eating enough. The next one that can affect fertility is that alcohol consumption. We've talked about alcohol quite a bit and its negative effects. So it is something that comes up a lot. So most healthcare providers recommend avoiding all alcohol if you're trying to conceive. It can be difficult to know exactly when conception occurs, and the risks of consuming any alcohol while pregnant are definitely apparent, are well known. So if you are thinking about trying to get pregnant, we do recommend, not drinking any alcohol at all, because we just don't know when you're actually going to be pregnant. Okay. I thought this was a pretty interesting study. They looked at women who are undergoing IVF treatment and the amount of alcohol that they were consuming. And they found that women who drank more than 4 drinks per week, so not per day, per week, were 16% less likely to have a live birth than those who drank less or none, which is a pretty decent number. And then if both partners drank more than 4 drinks a week, it was even reduced further to 21%. So I thought that was pretty interesting, because 4 drinks a week is not a huge amount. Like I said, it's not 4 drinks a day, it's 4 drinks per week. So even that amount of alcohol can have an effect on the fertility rate in women and then men as well. And then another study showed women who recorded the highest alcohol consumption conceived 18% less frequently than groups who did not drink. So just a couple studies on alcohol and infertility. All right, now we're going to go a little bit more into the nutrition with fertility. So nutrition plays an important areas, including hormone balance, egg quality, ovulation, and even sperm quality. All right, so the first one is hormone balance. So proper nutrition is really important for appropriate hormone balance. By including healthy fats daily, and really trying to do every meal if possible, they really help build important hormones. So healthy fats are really important in hormone production and making sure those hormones are healthy and working properly. Protein, fiber, and antioxidants also support hormone function. Fiber and antioxidants, again, come from mostly fruits and vegetables and also whole grains. And then really trying to get balanced meals. So having a nice balance of proteins, which we just talked about, hormones, and fats also with hormones, and then carbs, all 3 together. And when you do all these 3 together, it also promotes healthy blood sugar levels, which we'll talk about a little bit later, which is also connected to hormone function. So pretty much eating a healthy diet is really important for hormone balance, which is important for conceiving. The second one is egg quality. So folate, B6, and B12 play important roles in the genetic programming of a maturing egg. So this programming increases the chance of conception and impacts lifelong health of the future baby. So they're really, really important. I'm sure you all have heard that folic acid is a really important nutrient, which is folate. So it is one we do want to focus on during pregnancy. These are some good sources of folate. Cooked spinach. So again, cooking the spinach, you get more folate out of it. Black-eyed peas, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, avocado, and broccoli. So we usually say green vegetables for folate. So that's a good rule of thumb there. If it's green and it's a vegetable, it probably has a good amount of folate in it. B6, pork, chicken, fish. So a lot of those meats are good sources of those B vitamins. Chickpeas as well, potatoes, whole grains, nuts and seeds, and also banana and papayas are good sources of B6. And then for B12, which comes from animal sources, is going to be salmon, shrimp, and beef. Soy is fortified. It's a vegan option that has B12. So if you are a vegan or not eating meat, that is a good one to include for the B12. Cheese is another good source, cottage cheese and yogurt. So our dairy options as well is a good source of B12. So again, all those together can really help the chances of conception and then the lifelong health of the baby as well. The third one that nutrition really support can help is definitely ovulation. So eating enough foods and following a healthy diet supports optimal ovulation. When we eat enough, it signals to our brain that we are a safe place to have a baby and we are able to support the reproduction. Avoid chronic dieting and under eating. So we do see this a lot for women who, go with a yo-yo dieting and they're losing a lot of weight. And if they're not able to conceive, a lot of times the doctor would recommend, trying to put some weight on. That can really help with ovulation, which obviously can lead to pregnancy. So, focus on including those nutrient foods in your diet and making sure that your weight is at a healthy weight and you're not underweight or under eating. And the last one is sperm quality. This is for men, okay? When you eat a diet rich in nutrient-rich foods, lots of fruits, vegetables, high-quality proteins, healthy fats, it can improve sperm parameters and increase chances of sperm meeting the egg. Antioxidants found in foods can protect both the egg and sperm from DNA damage. So it's not just the woman here. The man also, has to focus on having that healthy diet as well. And, so they have optimal sperm to allow for conceiving. Just want to do a little bit of a summary of what we just discussed. So again, managing your stress can be really helpful. Seek out management strategies that work and that you enjoy. Avoid alcohol when trying to conceive. Maintain a healthy weight and eat a healthy, nutritious diet and fruits, vegetables, high quality proteins, and healthy fats. And just wanted to throw in there the avoiding tobacco exposure. So not even you smoking yourself or using tobacco products, but try not to be around other people who are also using them. That secondhand smoke can also be toxic for you and the baby. All right, so now we're going to talk about pregnancy and a healthy lifestyle around pregnancy. The Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, or the AND, recommends following the healthy lifestyles during pregnancy, which includes the appropriate amount of weight gain during pregnancy, following a healthy, balanced diet, having regular exercise, and the appropriate and timely use of vitamin and mineral supplements. So appropriate weight gain. Gaining the recommended weight during pregnancy can help avoid pregnancy complications such as gestational diabetes, preeclampsia or high blood pressure, and the need for alternative delivery or C-section. The Institute of Medicine and National Research Council and the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics recommends the following weight gain during pregnancy. And it is based on how much weight you were before you became pregnant. So if you were underweight, which is a BMI under 18.5, you should be gaining a little bit more than a normal healthy weight person should, about 28 to 40 pounds or 13 to 18 kilograms. A healthy weight person, which has a BMI between 18.5 and 24.9, should gain anywhere between 25 and 35 pounds or 11 to 16 kilograms. If you were overweight before you became pregnant, which would be a BMI between 25 and 29.9, you do want to gain a little bit less, about 15 to 25 pounds, so about 10 pounds less than the healthy weight group, or 7 to 11 kilograms. For the obese population, if you were pregnant before you got pregnant, you have a BMI of 30 or more, you want to be gaining about 11 to 20 pounds, or 5 to 9 kilograms. So knowing your weight before you became pregnant is a really important thing because it's going to dominate what you're going to be gaining during your pregnancy. So it is something that your doctor will be checking with you and then following up on to see where you're at with pregnancy and your weight gain. So in the first trimester, we do gain about 1 to 4.5 pounds. This varies. A lot of times in the first trimester, you do have more of those symptoms such as nausea and vomiting, so that can impact your weight as well. And then in the second trimester, which starts at 12 weeks, you gain about 1 to 2 pounds per week, and same the third trimester. So the last 2 trimesters is where you gain the most weight, again, about 1 to 2 pounds per week. And that is for a healthy weight individual. If you were an underweight individual, it's going to be a little bit more, obviously. And if you were an overweight or obese individual, it's going to be a little bit less. We usually see about around a half a pound of weight gain per week in the second and third trimester for the overweight and obese population. Okay, so healthy balanced diet, which you guys have heard me talk about multiple times. But during pregnancy, you do need on average about 300 more calories per day to support the baby growing in your belly. This obviously is going to depend on your pre-pregnancy weight. If you were underweight, you will need a little bit more than that. And if you were overweight or obese, a little bit less than that to get that healthy weight gain during pregnancy. Again, you want to eat a balanced diet consisting of protein-rich foods, fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, very similar to the fertility diet and very similar to just a healthy diet in general, which we've talked about before. Limiting sweets during pregnancy is important, and then choosing healthier fats most often. So it's going to be something like avocado, nuts and seeds, the extra virgin olive oil. Again, all this is very similar to a general healthy diet. So you can see here to the right, they kind of classify things, the vegetables. Beneficial nutrients for pregnancy is that vitamin A and potassium. In fruits, a lot of it is the potassium. In dairy, we get that calcium, which is important, potassium, vitamin A, and D. Those grains is going to be iron and folic acid, which are fortified in the grains, which is nice. And then the protein-rich foods for those amino acids, those building blocks, which are important for the baby as well. We're going to go into more specific detail now. So I want to talk about protein first. So this is almost double the recommendation when you're pregnant. It's around 100 grams, 115, 120 grams of protein you want to be getting when you're pregnant. Protein is a very important nutrient during pregnancy, and you really want to get it at every meal and snack if possible. When mom consumes adequate protein, it positively affects the growth of that fetal tissue, including the brain, which is super important. It also helps your breast and uterine tissue grow and helps increase blood supply. So that protein does a lot of good things. So definitely one you want to highlight during pregnancy and make sure you're getting enough of. Some good sources are going to be fully cooked fish and seafood. Liver is a great source, chicken, lean beef, lamb, pork, and again, other vegetarian or vegan options, nuts and seeds, tofu, peas, beans, chickpeas, all really good sources of that protein. Calcium is another important nutrient during pregnancy. You need around 1,000 milligrams per day. Calcium helps regulate fluids and build baby's bones and tooth buds. Just want to give you a reference here, around 300 milligrams is in 1 cup of milk. So again, you're going to need about 1,000 milligrams per day. Other sources, of calcium include eggs, yogurt, pasteurized cheese. So again, the dairy sources are a great one. Tofu is a good one. Salmon, almonds, white beans, and cabbage. Iron is another important nutrient during pregnancy. It helps increase blood volume and prevents anemia. You need about 27 milligrams per day. Iron is a really important one for mom to get and to make sure that she's not anemic, because especially once the baby is here, the baby relies on her stores for the very first 6 months of life, especially with the breastfed baby. So having enough iron in the diet and not having anemia is really, really important during pregnancy. You get this, again, a lot of meats. So meats is a really good source. There's 2 different sources of iron. There's the heme source, which comes from the meat, which is absorbed a little bit better than the non-heme source, which comes from plants. So then the non-heme source is going to be turnip, spinach, cabbage, and whole grains, which is fortified with iron. And vitamin C helps absorb those non-heme items a little bit better. So if you do not eat meat for any reason during pregnancy and you are relying on those plant-based foods, make sure you include vitamin C rich foods as well with your diet. Citrus is a great one. You can even do some orange juice or something like that to really help that non-heme iron absorb properly. And then also you will be monitored at your doctor's office for your iron levels as well. The next one is folate or folic acid, which we did mention before. And this specifically prevents neural tube defects, including spina bifida. So this is one that's really, really important. You want to be taking this before you become pregnant. So with those, it is included in your prenatal vitamin, and it is recommended to start taking that once a day before you become pregnant. So always make sure that folic acid is in that prenatal vitamin that you take. They should be, but I always tell clients to make sure that they're in there. And then make sure that you're getting enough too. It's recommended about 600 to 800 micrograms per day. So sources for this, again, are going to be those green vegetables. Are going to be the best sources: collard greens, turnip, spinach, lettuce, cabbage. It's also found in some oranges, strawberries, tomato, and kiwis, melons, split peas, red kidney beans, black-eyed peas, chickpeas, and again, whole grains that is fortified in as well. Fortified just means that it's added to the food by the manufacturer. So it's nice that they were able to do that. Vitamin C is another one, promotes wound healing, tooth bone development, and it also can help non-heme iron absorb, which is the plant-based sources of iron. It is recommended around 85 milligrams per day. So sources of that include oranges, those citrus fruits, strawberries, mangoes, grapefruit, potato, and peppers. There are some foods you want to avoid during pregnancy, and I do want to discuss these as well. If you've never heard of it before, listeriosis is a bacteria, or it's called the bacteria is Listeria, and it can cause listeriosis, which pregnant women are 10 times more likely to have than non-pregnant women. It is a rare but serious infection caused by eating contaminated food that contains the Listeria bacteria. About 1 in 6 cases of listeriosis are associated with pregnancy. So to reduce the risk of this, we want to avoid certain foods during pregnancy. We want to avoid any kind of unpasteurized or raw dairy sources. This is becoming more popular lately. So when you are drinking milk or eating cheese, yogurt, make sure that they're coming from pasteurized sources, which are usually found in the grocery store. Most of it is going to be pasteurized. So make sure it says pasteurized on the label. You want to avoid any raw or lightly cooked sprouts. Those are those little green things that sometimes come on sandwiches. I know they have them at Jimmy John's, if you know what that is. So just watch out for things at sandwich shops, things like that. Non-refrigerated melons, so honeydew, cantaloupe. When they sit out a long time, they can get that bacteria on it. So make sure if you are eating those, I would recommend buying them yourself, cutting them up, and throwing them in the fridge. I would try to stay away from pre-cut fruit with melons in it because you just don't know how long they've been sitting out for. Lunch meats. So you can't eat these if you do heat them up, because any heat source is going to kill that bacteria for you. So if you do go to Subway or any kind of sandwich shop, make sure that your sandwich is heated up, or better yet, make it at home so you know exactly how it's prepared and that you can heat it up yourself. Meat spreads are foods found on the meat counter in the fridge section. Again, we don't know their quality control when it comes to this, how long they've been sitting at, certain temperatures for that. We just don't know. So it's better to be safe than sorry. So I would recommend avoiding those deli foods, things like that we just don't know how they've been handled. Smoked fish, another one you want to avoid during pregnancy. Just want to do this. The symptoms of this include fatigue, muscle aches, and can show up within 2 months of eating the contaminated food. So it might not happen right away. So just be aware of that as well. Okay, some other foods to avoid during pregnancy is going to be raw and uncooked meats and seafood. Anything raw or undercooked is going to increase the risk of contamination with bacteria, even specifically salmonella. So we do want to make sure that our meats are cooked to well done. Same with seafood, stay away from sushi, stay away from ceviche, things like that that we don't know if they're fully cooked or not. Fish with mercury. So mercury consumed during pregnancy is linked to developmental delay and damage to the fetal brain. So we want to avoid higher mercury fish. We don't have too many down here. We do have the king mackerel and the swordfish, so you do want to stay away from those during pregnancy. You also want to stay away from shark and tilefish. Canned light tuna is perfectly fine and good to eat during pregnancy. And any of the whitefish we have down here, grouper, snapper, yellowtail, obviously all those are good. And they are recommended to eat about twice a week. We just want to make sure that they're fully cooked. Again, smoked seafood, any kind of raw fish or eggs. Again, eggs you want to be fully cooked too. We just don't want to take any chances. Alcohol, obviously, we talked about before. No alcohol is safe during pregnancy, so avoid all of it. Caffeine, we do recommend consuming in moderation. So the guideline is probably no more than about 200 milligrams per day, which is about 1 12-ounce cup of coffee. So usually 1 cup of coffee is good, or if you enjoy decaf, that's another way to drink more than one. We also want to watch that caffeine intake when it comes to things like energy drinks, sodas, and even teas have caffeine. Black cup of black tea has about 50 milligrams. So if you are a big tea drinker, watching that as well when you're pregnant. And then unwashed vegetables, always wash your produce. Again, that can just have bacteria on it. So from the grocery store or from transfer, wherever it came from. So washing those vegetables and fruits as well is important during pregnancy. So just basic food handling safety is really important to prevent any bacteria from getting into your system. And then when it comes to exercise in pregnancy, exercise and or physical activity is important and can improve and maintain physical fitness and overall health during pregnancy. It helps relieve common discomforts and even prepares your body for labor and delivery. In most situations, exercise is completely safe and recommended during pregnancy. Kind of the rule of thumb that doctors go off on, if that you were active before, it is totally recommended to continue doing whatever you were doing. There's been shown to be no increased risk of miscarriage or premature labor with pregnancy when it comes to exercise, so that's good. And if you are thinking about starting exercise while pregnant and you weren't doing anything before, do consult with your healthcare provider to discuss what you're going to be doing before starting something. Usually something like walking or something very low intensity is perfectly fine. But if you are thinking about taking on some, new higher intensity program or something you want to start, definitely make sure you check with your doctor first, just to get the clear, go from him before starting anything intense that you weren't doing before. And then again, if you're thinking about getting pregnant and you're not exercising, I totally recommend starting now. And just in general, we talk about exercise a lot here. It is a very important part of overall health. It's a really important part of weight loss and maintaining a healthy weight loss. So definitely recommend starting if you're not already doing something. Another good way to start with some exercise or to keep exercise consistent is to set a goal. If you've seen my other presentations, we talk about goal setting a lot. Again, with nutrition, with exercise, with mental health, with everything. And it is recommended for about 30 minutes a day of movement, exercise, physical activity. But again, whatever you can do is going to be beneficial for you. So even if that's a 10-minute walk or parking really far away from the grocery store to get some extra steps in, any movement is going to be good for you, your pregnancy, and just managing that weight gain during pregnancy as well. Prenatal yoga is a really great low impact exercise that also provides stress relief. So you're kind of getting the benefits of both there. You have the exercise benefit as well as that stress management benefit as well. And there's so many great free resources on the internet. If you just Google prenatal yoga classes, even on YouTube, you will get tons and tons of free content. So totally recommend checking that out if you have not done so before. Some other benefits of exercise during pregnancy include reducing back pain or backaches, reduces constipation, which can be a common side effect of pregnancy. So moving can definitely help, relieve some of that constipation if you are having that. Can help treat or prevent gestational diabetes, increases your energy and improves your mood, and helps you sleep better. So a lot of good side effects from that exercise. You do want to watch out for some activities and avoid some, which include something where you may be falling a lot or you come into contact with a lot of people. So I wouldn't recommend, tackle football as a exercise or a physical activity to start doing. Anything that can cause abdominal trauma, you want to stay away from. So probably not starting to do something like softball or something when there's a hard ball involved that could come in contact with your abdomen. And then lots of waist twisting movements. Sometimes in those exercise classes, they have, the ab movements that were side to side. Trying to avoid those is usually recommended as well. But most importantly is listening to your body. If you are doing something and it doesn't feel right, then don't do it. That can be provide a lot of good insight if something is not good for you, if you do not feel right doing it. And I wanted to kind of give a sample pregnancy and exercise schedule that you could use if you'd like. So I have here 3 days a week, so every other day, or it's supposed to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 30 minutes of some sort of fast walking. Walking is a great exercise and it's low impact. Tuesday, you can do a 45-minute prenatal yoga. Again, you just Google prenatal yoga or YouTube prenatal yoga, and you can get a free video. This can provide some stress management again as well. And then Thursday, you can do some strength building work. I have here 20 minutes of strength building work, which is going to be 3 rounds of 15 squats. Squats are excellent for pregnancy. 15 arms presses or curls, just using something heavy in your house to, push over your head, obviously something that's safe to do so. Or if you have some light weights, some light dumbbells, that would work great. And 15 kneeling push-ups. So 3 rounds of that would be a great little 20-minute strength building workout you could do. And then on Saturday, you could go for a nice 30-minute swim. Swimming is another great low impact exercise that you can do. And then the only thing with swimming, though, you don't want to be holding your breath for long periods of time. So don't go to the pool and try to hold your breath for as long as you can. But regular swimming is perfectly fine and healthy. And then on Sunday, you could do something a little bit lighter, like a 30-minute light walk with your family, walking the dog, just something to get you outside and moving. So that is a sample pregnancy and exercise schedule for the week. Okay, and then supplements during pregnancy. So start taking your prenatal vitamin before you become pregnant. I think I mentioned this before. So if you are thinking about having a baby, definitely start taking that, usually at least 3 months before conception. So if you start thinking about it, just start taking them. You can find a prenatal vitamin at your local pharmacy. If you're unaware of which one to choose, the pharmacist can always recommend one for you. And again, making sure it has that folic acid in it and the iron as well, because both of these needs are increased. Most women can get these extra needs through their food, but the prenatal vitamin is also important as well. If there is any extra supplementation that's needed, the doctor will recommend this for you. So again, make sure your prenatal vitamin includes that folic acid and that iron, and then also calcium and vitamin D are important as well. So sometimes prenatal vitamins can cause nausea and constipation. We do see this quite a bit when I work with pregnant women. The biggest thing I can tell you with this is instead of taking it in the morning, try taking it right before bed. That's helped a lot of women, especially if they have that nausea with taking that prenatal vitamin. Sometimes it can be really large and it can just cause some nausea for them. And to help with constipation and nausea, make sure you're drinking plenty of fluids, small amounts throughout the day, including more fiber in your diet can really help with that constipation, more fruits, vegetables, whole grains, again, looking for fiber on that nutrition label like we discussed previously. And then getting physically active. Again, movement can really help with constipation. You can also discuss with your doctor about adding in a stool softener. A lot of times this is needed. So definitely keep your doctor informed about how you're doing. And if you are having problems, please let them know. Again, taking your prenatal vitamin before bed is really helpful with the nausea. And then when it comes to other vitamins and supplements, really talk to your healthcare provider or your dietitian about this before you start just taking anything and everything, especially when it comes to herbal supplements as well. Supplements are not regulated by the FDA, which we have talked about in another class as well. So we're not 100% sure always what you're getting. So you don't want to start taking a bunch of stuff if you're not, sure of the brand or the quality of the product. So it's best to just take the ones that you know that you need. And if there is anything else that you do need, your doctor will talk to you about it. And then also other over-the-counter medications are important to run by your doctor as well during pregnancy. Some are okay, but some are not okay. So always talk to your doctor when it comes to taking those supplements and or medications. And then I did want to touch on one of the complications of pregnancy, which we see quite a bit, and this is called gestational diabetes. So this is diabetes that is diagnosed during pregnancy. So a lot of women who have this have never had diabetes before, and then they become pregnant and they get this gestational diabetes. It occurs in about 7% of all pregnancies. In most cases, it comes on during the second half of the pregnancy, and it resolves right after the baby is born. It's very important once diagnosed, though, to manage your blood sugar levels to avoid complications. If you do not take care and control your gestational diabetes, you can have a very, very large baby, which can increase the risk of a C-section. You can have increased risk of high blood pressure, which could lead to preeclampsia, or you could even have the risk of low blood sugar, which is also dangerous. And once you do have gestational diabetes and you've been diagnosed with it, you do have a 25% increased risk of continuing to have diabetes once the baby is born. So 1 in 4 women do have diabetes once they've had gestational diabetes once the baby comes. All right, so gestational diabetes and nutrition. Once you are diagnosed, the most important thing to do is to follow a healthy diet and manage your blood sugar levels. The best way to manage blood sugar levels is to eat a balanced diet, which we talk about a lot. Making sure that you always have a lean protein, your healthy fats, your good complex carbohydrates, which is a whole food source carbohydrate, and vegetables at every meal and or snack. This can help keep your blood sugar level controlled. Think back to our plate. So you've seen this plate many times if you watched my other lectures. This is a great plate for any just healthy diet, weight loss, gestational diabetes. It really is the best way to eat, and it can help control those blood sugar levels. During gestational diabetes, it is recommended to avoid all sugar-sweetened beverages and always choose zero-calorie drinks. So stay away from juices and sodas and sweetened teas and lemonades, things like that. Always choose things that are 0 calories, and make sure you choose a lot of water as well. And then always avoid eating carbohydrates by themselves, okay? I always say no naked carbs. So if you are going to eat a carbohydrate source, say like a piece of fruit or a piece of bread, a piece of toast, make sure you pair that with a protein-rich food, okay? Fiber can also help, but protein is really, really important. So for example, you're going to do an apple, do a hard-boiled egg with it, or do a cheese stick, or do a handful of nuts. So you get that protein and fiber to help combat that carbohydrate. So your blood sugar isn't shooting up, it's shooting just at the right level, and you can feel a little bit fuller for longer and you feel much better. A lot of times if you just eat a carbohydrate by itself, it can shoot your sugar up and then shoot it right back down. So no naked carbs when it comes to gestational diabetes. And when you are eating carbs, which are important to include, we don't want to eliminate them. You want to limit that portion. So about a half a cup is usually the rule of thumb. If there are 2 carb dishes that you like, especially with the holidays coming up, trying to choose, a small amount of each one to just stay within that half a cup to, a third of a cup recommendation. Again, choosing those complex carbs over the simple carbs. So the complex carbs are going to be more of those whole food sources, so fruits, vegetables, whole wheat items, whole wheat bread, brown rice. Avoid in choosing those over those simple carbs, so those really high sugar foods like donuts and bagels and pastries, cookies, cake, all that stuff. If you are going to eat those, again, small amounts and eating them with protein-rich foods is really important. And then again, choosing water with most meals as well. So again, referring back to that plate, and if you haven't watched my my lecture on the I think it was the weight loss one, we go into further detail about this plate and what foods to choose for those plates. And then some other tips when it comes to gestational diabetes that aren't necessarily nutrition related. Sometimes you are prescribed other medications to help control your sugar levels, and this may include insulin. So if you are prescribed one of those, make sure that you're taking them as well as following that healthy diet as well. Exercise can really be helpful as well. It can help control high blood sugar or your blood sugar levels in general. If you do, for some reason, eat a little bit too much on the carbohydrates and your sugar shoots up a little bit higher than usual, going for a walk can be really helpful in bringing that sugar down. So that exercise can really be helpful. And one of the biggest things, especially doctors will make you do as well if you do have gestational diabetes, is checking your blood sugar levels. And this is checking them 3-4 times every day because it is so important to keep those blood sugar levels normal during pregnancy. So when you do check your sugars, you want to check them 1 to 2 hours after you eat a food. This is going to be the highest peak of that sugar level. So that's the best way to know how it affects your sugar, whatever you're eating. Keeping track of this can be helpful and usually recommended by your healthcare provider because you can look back and see how it affected your sugar. So if you eat something and your sugar is over 200, go back and look at what you're eating. Look at your plate. Okay, what am I missing here? I had carbohydrates. Oh, I ate 2 apples, but I didn't eat anything else with it. That's where I went wrong. So make sure you go back and, okay, next time I need to add that protein-rich food, maybe add some good fiber foods, maybe some vegetables in to help control my blood sugar next time. So writing down what you're eating and writing down your blood sugar levels can be really helpful in understanding how it's going to affect your sugar level. And then the next time you do eat that food, you can know what to do differently, hopefully, and then checking in again to see how it goes. So the best way to know, again, is to test to see where you're at. And then also, once the baby does get here, you do want to be checking for diabetes 6 to 12 weeks postpartum. So it is important to go to once you have the baby, going to that 6-week checkup to make sure everything's going okay. So the doctor can check the diabetes as well to see where you're at with that. And then it's also recommended to get checked every 1 to 3 years because of the increased risk of the gestational diabetes has on continuing to have diabetes later in life. And then I wanted to discuss some local resources we have. Again, the one that I work for is Women, Infants, and Children, or WIC. We provide free nutrition education and breastfeeding support for those who qualify. This is for all pregnant women. This is for postpartum women. And this is also for children from 0 to 5. So if you do have children or you are pregnant or thinking about getting pregnant, make sure you keep us in mind. Or if you do need this service now, please give us a call. We have clinics in Key West, we have clinics in Marathon, and we have a clinic in Tavernier. So that's the phone number for those two. If you're interested in learning more about the program or if you'd like to make an appointment, please give us a call. We also have Healthy Start, which is our sister program. It is a free program for all pregnant women, so you don't have to qualify for this. It's for anyone and everyone who is pregnant and for women who have babies under the age of 3. So 0 to 3 and pregnant women, this is what this program is for. It provides education for pregnancy and postpartum. It provides referrals as needed, and they also come to your home if needed as well. They also have a breastfeeding program too, and they offer breast pumps for use as well. And that is their phone number there. And then we also have free community breastfeeding classes at all the health departments throughout the Keys. Again, this is in Tavernier, Marathon, and Key West every month. So we weren't doing these for a while with the pandemic, but we've recently just brought these back, and they are open to anyone and everyone that would like to come to them. It's a great class. It's a 1-hour class. We offer it in English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole, so all 3 languages. And then that's the phone number down there if you'd like some more information or if you'd like to sign up for one of our classes. Okay, so that's pretty much it for pregnancy and fertility. And with next month, we are going to focus on postpartum nutrition. So once the baby gets here, and also breastfeeding and feeding your baby, which is really important as well. All right. There's my resources, and then I'm just going to leave that up there if anybody else wants those numbers. Okay. Anybody have any questions, comments?
Well, I am so thankful that you guys did this class. I know our call-in user. Let's see if they have any questions because I don't. I think you did a fantastic, informative class on everything. So unless our call-in user has questions, we will conclude. So let's see if they open up their call-in user. Do you have any questions? Okay, well, I think we're good. So
All right.
everyone, we've got our next class scheduled for December the 18th at 1 p.m. That's a Saturday. And Miss Hannah, if you want to talk about what your preview information will be for that class, maybe our call-in user will join us again.
Yeah, so again, as you all probably heard me say a few times, I work with women, infants, and children, so this is definitely my wheelhouse. I love talking about this. And breastfeeding is definitely going to be the highlight of this next class. I'm also a certified lactation counselor, and I'm very passionate about breastfeeding and helping moms succeed with breastfeeding because it is, it requires a lot of support and education. So I'm really excited to be talking to you guys more about that. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. And we'll dive deeper next month.
Great. Well, I appreciate the call-in user, and Miss Hannah, we always appreciate you. And if anyone has any questions, I will post this video on our YouTube channel as well as our website. So stay tuned for that if you need a recap. And we'll see you on December the 18th. Appreciate you
Yes.
guys.
Yes, please put any questions that you guys have in there. I will definitely answer them. We can do, a couple slides at the end if it's something else that someone wanted to talk about. I'm happy for any questions, anything you guys want to know. Let us know. We're happy to discuss that as well.
Great. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Yeah, you too. All right, bye bye.
Bye.